Don't get strung out by the way that I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man by the light of the day, but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
Right, before you inundate me with questions about where the much promised I Am Omega review has gone, I'm going to be entirely upfront and say that I just haven't worked up the massive reserves of courage I would need to tackle that particular Darwinian nightmare. If I'm going to climb up piles of shit, I'd much rather take it in small strides than run screaming at the face of Mount Everest of shite. So with that in mind, here's Super Mario Bros. Instead. This story is about two plumbers who fall down a hole in order to rescue a pretty girl. They land in another dimension populated by people who have evolved from dinosaurs. The girl is in fact a princess, her dad has been turned into a giant fungus who sits on the roof and throws bombs at you, and the despotic ruler of the world wants to take over the real world with a gun that causes victims to evolve backwards into... Oh, fuck this. I can't even describe this film. It's indescribable. Look, when I was a kid, I desperately wanted to love this film because, let's face it, it was Super Mario. And when you're a kid, you have the innate skill to overlook utter shite, like fans of Indiana Jones did with the fourth film. When I was in school, everyone was eager to see a new show called King of the Hill, because it was advertised as being by the same people who were responsible for The Simpsons and Beavis and Butthead, which is like toffee-covered deep-fried heroin for school children. Anyway, the first episode came and went, and the playgrounds were just abuzz with kids who screamed about how much they loved it. Well, guess what? I was one of them. And like everyone else, I was convinced because that's how advertising worked. I was sure that this was absolutely awesome, and it wasn't until I grew up that I realised that King of the Hill is about as funny as an orphanage of children all dying from a new breed of cancer that causes you to burst into flames and stamp on puppies. Point being, I loved the Super Mario Bros. Film, but I was a kid, so I'm including this in response to the myriad of people who suggest that I should point out the positive, constructive things about these films too. Actually, they don't so much suggest it as scream, "You suck, I hope you die" in text speak, because this is on YouTube and the average YouTube monkey has about all the intelligence of a chimpanzee that's had its brain removed. So there it is. This film might amuse stupid children. And speaking about chimpanzees, possibly the biggest thing that annoys me about this film is the use of these anti-evolution guns that transforms dinosaur people into dinosaurs and humans into chimps. Could someone out there please, for the love of cunting fuck, pick up a textbook and learn that Darwin has never said that people evolved from monkeys, humans do not come from monkeys, and learn the fucking definition of the term common ancestry before any creationist screwballs start trying to debate more utter nonsense and bore us all to fucking death. Okay, I seem to have rambled off the point slightly here, but that's the kind of effect that Super Mario Bros. Has on you. In order to protect your very sanity, you have to stop thinking about this film. You start wondering what Bob Hoskins is doing now. Then you remember that time you seen him naked in that film about the theatre, and you just want to pull your eyes out. But, you know, Bob hated this film. I hate this film. The best thing about this film is that it ends. I would rather be tied to a chunk of iron and thrown into a pool full of very lazy sharks that only bite you a little bit at a time. I would rather have the love juice of a clinically depressed psychology student injected into my ears on a regular basis. I'd rather have my balls sawed off with a hacksaw, stuffed in my mouth, and forced by law to stand in the street and greet everyone I met with the phrase, "Hello, I'm Mr. Balls in Mouth." That's how much I hate this film. So, at the insistence of yet more whiny, screamy people, here's how I think this film could be improved. 1. All copies of it could be gathered up and burned. That would improve it. Be melted down and used to coat the outside of a space shuttle would be a good use for it. Then again, you could also use it as a means of torturing people for information. If you forced James Bond to watch Super Mario Bros., he wouldn't only tell you who he worked for, he'd also give you the keys to his flat, his bank account number, the name of the Taiwanese ladyboy he was visiting last week, and a recipe for a really lovely cherry cream pie, which is quite nice. But this film is not. But really, what is it that makes this film so bad, I hear you ask? Is it the utterly ridiculous storyline, the boring characters, the fact that it seems to have been directed by someone's discarded toenail clipping, the weak attempt at comedy, the stupid attempt at science, the utter lack of cinematic tension and narrative structure? No, it's John Leguizamo. He plays Luigi. He was also in Titan AE, Dr. Dolittle, The Pest, and Spawn. I know this sounds mean, but the guy is fucking cursed. Everything he touches turns to shit. He must be stopped. If you see John Leguizamo in the street, you must burn him on sight, because that man is Satan himself!